everything's fine on 93.9 Dublin South FM.
Good afternoon, I'm Charmaine Colvin and you are listening to Apna Radio 93.9 Dublin South FM. On India this week, UK's Indo-Pacific Minister Seema Malhotra has defended her government's immigration proposals during a visit to India, while expressing concern about a rise in foreign students seeking asylum at the end of their studies. Under the new plans, some migrants could have to wait up to 20 years before they can settle permanently in the UK, and the qualifying period for indefinite leave to remain will be extended from 5 to 10 years. The proposals will apply to an estimated 2.6 million people who arrived in the country since 2021. They have drawn criticism from some quarters, including a few Labour MPs, even though the Conservatives gave the measures a cautious welcome. The reforms are in line with what countries around the world do to stop the abuse of their immigration systems, Malhotra told the BBC in the southern Indian state of Chennai. India remains one of the UK's biggest sources of international students, but demand is cooling. The number of Indian students heading to the UK has fallen 11% from last year as tougher immigration rules kick in. This has triggered concern among UK universities, which rely on foreign students and are already under financial strain. According to the Migration Observatory at the University of Oxford, India was the top country of origin for foreign students in the UK in 2023 to 24, making up 25% of arrivals. China followed at 23%, while Nigeria made up 8%. Malhotra said while Britain still very much welcomes Indian students, her government was working with universities to ensure they are genuine foreign students. During a visit to India in October, Sir Keir Starmer said the UK would not relax visa rules for Indian nationals, despite Delhi's long-standing push for easier mobility in return for trade concessions. Malhotra rejected the idea that Britain wants deeper trade while shutting the door to Indian professionals, citing the nearly 500,000 visas granted to Indian nationals last year across work, study and visitor categories. The detention of Pema Wangjom Thondok, an Indian citizen living in the UK, at Shanghai Airport has fuelled a diplomatic row between Delhi and Beijing. Ms Thongdok said she was detained by immigration officials while travelling from London to Japan via Shanghai last Friday because her passport lists her birthplace as the northeastern state of Arunachal Pradesh. China disputes India's claim over the region and considers Arunachal its territory, calling it South Tibet, a claim India firmly rejects. On Tuesday, India said it had lodged a protest against Ms Thongdok's detention and reiterated that Arunachal was an integral and inalienable part of India. The state, which falls along a 3,440-kilometre de facto border in the Himalayas, called the Line of Actual Control, has been a source of tension between the Asian neighbours for decades. China says it considers the whole of Arunachal Pradesh its territory, while India claims the Aksai Chin Plateau in the Himalayas, which is controlled by China. Troops from the countries clashed along the border in the town of Tawang in Arunachal Pradesh in 2022. The fight took place even as India and China were working to re-establish ties after a clash at the Galwan Valley in the Ladakh region in 2020 and led to a complete breakdown in ties. However, in August, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi, who was in Delhi on a 2-day trip, said the neighbours should view each other as partners rather than adversaries or threats. Ms Thondik's detention amidst these friendly overtures has raised eyebrows in India and made national headlines. A plume of volcanic ash from Ethiopia has swept across the Red Sea through Oman and Yemen and reached Delhi, the Indian Meteorological Department has said. The eruption of the Haile Gubi volcano in Ethiopia, which was dormant for several thousand years, began on Sunday morning, sending an ash column thousands of feet into the atmosphere. Several flights have been cancelled, delayed or rerouted in India because of the ash, with the country's aviation regulator asking airlines to strictly avoid affected areas. The level of ash contamination is unclear, experts say, but it is unlikely to affect Delhi's air quality, which was very poor as per officials' reading on Tuesday. In a statement on X, IndiGo said it was tracking the situation in coordination with international aviation bodies. Mumbai Airport has asked passengers to check the status of their flights before leaving for the airport. India is examining a request from Bangladesh for the extradition of the country's former Prime Minister, Sheikh Hasina, the Indian Foreign Ministry spokesperson said this week. The request, first made in December and reiterated this month after Hasina was sentenced to death for her role in the killing of student protesters last year, was being examined in India as part of ongoing internal, judicial and legal processes, he said. Hasina fled to India in August 2024 at the height of the protests. The Indian city of Ahmedabad was formally named as the host city for the 2030 Centenary Commonwealth Games, following approval from the Commonwealth Sport membership at the 2025 General Assembly in Glasgow on Wednesday. Ahmedabad, also known as Ahmedabad in the western state of Gujarat, had been recommended in October, following an evaluation process of candidate cities, with both Ahmedabad and Abuja, Nigeria, submitting bids. The 2030 Games will commemorate 100 years since the inaugural event in Hamilton, Canada. The North American country was expected to be in the running but did not bid. India hosted the Commonwealth Games for the first time in Delhi in 2010. And finally, Bollywood star Dharmendra has died in the Indian city of Mumbai at the age of 89. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid tribute to the actor, saying his passing marks the end of an era in Indian cinema. Dharmendra, who often described himself as a simple man, commanded extraordinary affection and loyalty from his tens of millions of fans. Best known as Viru, the lovable petty criminal in the 1975 blockbuster Sholay, he appeared in over 300 films, many hits, captivating audiences for decades. Songs featuring him topped the charts, and his romance and marriage with Hema Malini made headlines. Dubbed the original He-Man of Bollywood and Garam Dharam, the actor often made it to global lists of most handsome men in his heyday, and female fans were known to sleep with his photographs under their pillows. Dharmendra always said he was embarrassed by talk of his good looks and attributed it to nature, my parents and my genes. And that's all on India this week. You have been listening to Apna Radio 93.9 Dublin South FM.
Everything's fine on 93.9 Dublin South FM.